Good news for the entire country. India is set to release 5 million barrels of crude oil from its strategic petroleum reserves. This is part of a global coordinated effort by major countries to release millions of barrels of crude oil reserves in order to control soaring oil prices internationally. In fact, apart from India, countries like US, China, Japan, South Korea and Britain are also set to release crude oil from their reserves. And this after the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, or the OPEC, repeatedly ignored their calls for more production of crude oil. In fact, as per sources, India's move to release crude oil may lead to further reduction in fuel prices in India. In fact, Hina Gambhir is joining us on the phone line to give more details on this. So, Hina, good morning. A great news for all the consumers out there. Another relief as far as fuel prices are concerned looks to be in the store. But in simple words, if you could just explain to our viewers, how exactly is this going to happen? What is the mechanism that is going to be in play? And at what time we can see the impact on the retail prices?
Well, let's first explain to our viewers, good morning to you, what exactly are strategic petroleum reserves. Now, these are the kind of emergency reserves of crude that every country keeps, especially those countries which rely heavily on imported crude oil in case of there is some kind of an emergency, or maybe if there is a war-like situation, then this crude, which is reserved, is used. Now, if you look at the current situation, many are wondering as to what is really this emergency kind of a situation that United States of America had asked the oil importing nations like India, China, Japan, and Korea that it should release some of its crude from the reserves that it has right now. That's something that most experts are now currently thinking about, because it's going to be the first time that India is going to dip into its strategic petroleum reserves, which are there for some emergency in future. But now 5 million barrels, in fact, are going to be released from those reserves for India. United States of America has decided to release about 50 million barrels worth of crude from its reserves. Now, the reason, as you correctly mentioned, is one, because the oil-producing countries are not really increasing the output as per the demand that's coming from the countries. As a result, the prices have been going up sharply in the recent past, which have led to our petrol and diesel prices going northwards. Now, the sources are telling us that this could have an immediate impact on our fuel prices, because if you look at 5 million barrels of fuel, now that is something that India consumes on a daily basis. That's India's requirement nearly on a daily basis. So this could really have a direct impact on our fuel prices in our country. In the short term, we can expect a reduction in fuel prices, but it's not going to have any long-term kind of an impact. And because this will translate into lower fuel prices, so you can't really delink it to the upcoming assembly elections, because, whenever there is some kind of a decision vis-a-vis fuel in India, it is a politically sensitive issue, and hence most political experts are now linking it to upcoming assembly elections as well, because as I explained to you earlier, there is no emergency kind of a situation right now that India has to dip into its reserves of crude to meet the current demand.
Right. Thank you, Hina, for giving us that comprehensive update. Time to slip into a very short break. Lots more lined up on the other side.